They say, what the world dismisses as ash can sometimes ignite into fire. This is the story of that fire. A laborer who spent his life melting iron for others, only to one day melt his own fate and forge a new legacy. It was 4 a.m. in the old quarter of a dusty industrial town. A weathered iron foundry stood on the edge, where the roar of furnaces never slept. Among the sparks and steam worked a man named Rohan. At 40, his face was etched with burns from years of flames, his palms calloused like old leather, his eyes heavy with fatigue, but inside a quiet blaze burned steady. From 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. he fed red-hot iron into molds. At night, he sat by the dying embers and dreamed, one day, I will build a machine that runs on ideas, not sweat. His co-workers laughed. Rohan, you're a worker, not an engineer. People like us don't dream, we just hammer. Rohan smiled softly. Sometimes the heat of a dream is what turns a man into steel. His father had died in the same factory, crushed under a faulty crane. From childhood, Rohan learned one truth: shape the iron while it's hot, or it hardens into something useless. But life had cooled his own dreams, studies abandoned, responsibilities piled high, an aging mother, a gentle wife named Sonia, and a bright-eyed 5-year-old son, Aryan. Every day his hands blistered in the fire. Every night his heart burned with a different pain, watching others build empires while he fixed their machines. One evening, Aryan asked, Papa, why do you work in the fire every day? Rohan knelt, wiped soot from his son's cheek, and said, because, Beta, you don't earn respect until you've been through the flames. That day, something sparked in Aryan's young heart. Then came the accident. A boiler exploded. Rohan was closest. His arms and legs were horribly burned. The doctor's verdict: no more heavy work. The factory owner shrugged. Sorry, Rohan, we can't keep you. That night, the furnace of his life went cold, but the fire inside, it roared louder. He came home, broken body, empty pockets, but a spark in his soul. He dragged out his old tools, built a tiny shed in the backyard. Sonia asked, worried, what will you do now? Rohan looked at the glowing coals in his small stove and said, now, I melt my iron, and this time the machine will be mine. He stopped sleeping, scavenged scrap from junkyards, sketched designs on torn paper, failed, broke parts, started again. Neighbors whispered Rohan's lost his mind, but Aryan watched in awe. Papa is going to change the world, he told his friends. Years passed. The little shed grew into a humble workshop. Rohan built small, sturdy machines from scrap, cheap, reliable, clever. Then came his breakthrough, a spiral furnace that used half the fuel but melted iron twice as fast. He took it to factory owners. Most laughed, a laborer teaching us, but one young industrialist, Samir Verma, saw potential. Let's try it. A month later, the machine was installed. Results? Fuel costs dropped 40%. Output rose 30%. Samir called Rohan. You don't work for me anymore. You work with me. He became a partner. Slowly, laborer Rohan became inventor Rohan. Newspapers, TV channels, industry magazines, they all wanted his story. When asked, how did you do it? He replied with a smile, I didn't just melt iron, I melted my fear. 5 years later, he stood on stage to receive the National Industrial Innovation Award. He raised his scarred hands and said, these hands never imagined they'd be saluted. The hall erupted in applause. In the front row, Sonia and Aryan wept, tears of joy, pride, and vindication. Rohan didn't just write history, he built a path for every worker too afraid to dream. Never underestimate the man covered in dust today. He might be the one building palaces from mud tomorrow. Rohan taught us, you must burn to shine. Gold doesn't glow until it's been through the fire. You're watching Arambh with Courage. If this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. If you see yourself in Rohan, drop a comment below. I'll write my own destiny. Let's start the fire. Let's begin the journey.